Hello and welcome. Imagine for a moment that every decision you've made about money, every risk you've taken or avoided, every dream you've chased or abandoned, has not been guided purely by free will. Beneath your awareness, there has always been a silent script, a hidden program, quietly shaping your financial life. This book calls it your money blueprint. And it is that unseen design that explains why some people seem destined for wealth while others struggle endlessly. Before we dive in, I want to say this. If you find this summary helpful, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to BookSnap, and comment below the title of the book you'd like us to summarize next. We'll make it happen soon. Now, let's begin the journey. Picture the blueprint of a house. The beams, the walls, the rooms, all drawn before a single brick is laid. No matter how much you dream of a bigger kitchen or a grander staircase, you can only build what the plan allows. In the same way, our financial results are bound by the mental blueprint we carry. Some blueprints are drawn for expansion, prosperity, and confidence. Others are cramped, full of narrow corridors and locked doors. The tragedy is that most people never realize they are living inside a design they did not even choose. This blueprint is constructed in the earliest chapters of our lives. As children, we absorbed messages about money like sponges. Maybe we overheard our parents arguing about bills at the kitchen table. Maybe we watched one parent work endlessly while the other whispered, "Money doesn't grow on trees." Or perhaps, in rare cases, we saw abundance celebrated, generosity practiced, and money spoken of as a tool for freedom. Whatever those patterns were, they etched themselves deep into our subconscious, becoming the wiring that now directs our adult financial behavior. Think about it. Have you ever received a windfall, a bonus, a sudden profit, or even an unexpected gift, and then watched it slip away as quickly as it came? That is not random. It is your inner thermostat for money pulling you back to the familiar zone. Just as a heating system keeps a room at a set temperature, your mind keeps your finances at a set range. If you earn more than your blueprint allows, you find ways to lose it. If you fall below your blueprint, you hustle until you rise back up. The external numbers fluctuate, but the inner setting remains the same. This is why lottery winners so often return to their old level of wealth, or why self-made millionaires who lose everything frequently build it back. The results are different, but the blueprint is constant. Until the blueprint itself is rewritten, the story repeats. But here's the good news. A blueprint is not destiny carved in stone. It is simply a plan, one that can be redrawn. The first step is awareness. Recognizing that you are not your money, but the steward of the thoughts and emotions you inherited. The blueprint is not your identity. It is a pattern, and patterns can be changed. Eker challenges us to confront this truth directly. If your financial life is not where you want it to be, the blueprint is the culprit, not the economy, not your boss, not fate. Your results are a mirror of your inner design. And if you dare to step into the architect's role, you can alter that design and change the future you live in. So, as we begin this journey, let us ask, what blueprint am I living in right now? When I think of wealth, do I feel guilt? Do I feel fear? Do I think of opportunities? Or do I brace for loss? These feelings are clues to the lines that were drawn long ago. And until those lines are redrawn, they will keep dictating the house you build. The opening truth of this book is not comfortable, but it is liberating. You are not broken. You are not unlucky. You are simply running a program. And if you can see that, you can begin the process of rewriting the code, step by step, into a new design. The Millionaire Mind. Close your eyes and return to childhood. Not the polished memory, but the raw details. The living room where you played, the kitchen where conversations drifted late at night, the tone of your parents' voices when bills were due. Money was not just currency. It was energy, tension, joy, or silence. Every child absorbs these signals and encodes them deep within. This is how the voice of parents and culture becomes the architecture of our financial future. Maybe your father sighed heavily after paying for groceries, muttering, "We can't afford that." Maybe your mother celebrated payday with relief, saying, "Finally, we have enough to breathe." Or perhaps arguments erupted about debt, school fees, or the cost of vacations. These words were not just sounds, they were scripts written into your subconscious. As an adult, when you hesitate to spend, or when you chase money with desperate energy, you may simply be echoing those old lines. Harv Eker explains that there are 3 ways money conditioning happens: verbal programming, modeling, and specific incidents. Verbal programming is simple. What you heard. Phrases like "money is the root of all evil" or "rich people are greedy" become internal mantras, shaping how you treat opportunities. Modeling is what you saw. If your parents struggled and fought about money, you likely modeled the same dance in your own life. If they saved diligently, you may do the same, even without realizing why. And then there are specific incidents, moments so sharp they carve permanent impressions. For example, a child who witnesses their family lose everything in a financial crisis might carry fear of risk for decades. Culture adds another layer. Think about the country or community where you grew up. Some cultures equate wealth with selfishness, others with respect. Some celebrate frugality, while others admire bold displays of success. All these cultural attitudes fuse into the subconscious blueprint. It is why 2 children from different backgrounds can face the same financial opportunity and respond in completely opposite ways. One eager, one paralyzed. Consider the story of a young woman who grew up hearing her parents say, "We're just not the kind of people who get rich." Those words planted seeds of identity. When she entered adulthood, she unconsciously sabotaged her own promotions, settling for less than she deserved. The blueprint told her that reaching higher would make her disloyal to her roots. It wasn't until she recognized that those voices were borrowed, not chosen, that she began to shift. This is the heart of Eker's teaching. You must separate the financial voices of your past from your own. When you hear your mind whisper, "You can't afford this," ask yourself, whose voice is that? Is it your mother, cautious and fearful? Is it your father, burdened by stress? Is it the collective hum of a culture that mistrusts wealth? Awareness begins with tracing the origin of the echo. Once you see the source, you gain the power to question it. Is it true that money makes people corrupt? Or is it simply what you were told? Is it true that success requires struggle and endless sacrifice? Or was that belief passed down by a generation that had no other model? The Millionaire Mind does not blindly accept inherited programming. It challenges, rewrites, and declares new truths. Eker even encourages the use of conscious declarations, spoken affirmations to overwrite the old code. If, as a child, you heard, "We'll never be rich," you can now declare, "My mind is trained for wealth and abundance." This may sound simple, even naive, but think of it as repainting a wall that has been marked for years. The old graffiti does not vanish instantly, but with each fresh coat, the wall changes. So too with your inner programming. The process is not about blaming parents or condemning culture. They were only passing down what they knew, shaped by their own circumstances. The task now is not resentment, but responsibility. To choose which voices will continue to guide your path and which ones you will silence. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, what money beliefs did I inherit? Which of them serve me, and which ones hold me back? If your inner dialogue sounds like a chorus of doubts, recognize that those voices are not eternal truths. They are echoes, and echoes fade when you stop listening. The key is awareness. For when you hear the voices clearly, you can finally turn down their volume and tune into a new frequency, one of possibility, confidence, and ownership. Stand on the edge of a crowded street and listen closely. 2 people pass the same cafe, see the same menu, and react in completely different ways. One says, "Too expensive, not worth it." The other says, "How can I create more income to enjoy this whenever I want?" Same scene. Two mindsets. This is the defining split between scarcity and abundance, between limitation and possibility. It is the very line that separates the poor mind from the millionaire mind. Harv Eker calls it a shift so profound it redraws the entire blueprint of your financial life. It begins with the way you interpret reality. The poor mind sees obstacles everywhere: rising prices, unfair systems, impossible odds. The rich mind sees opportunities within those same realities: new markets, hidden leverage, creative solutions. It is not that the world changes. It is that the lens through which the world is seen transforms. At the root of this transformation lies responsibility. The poor mind often thinks in terms of victims and villains: the economy, the government, the boss, the competitor. Wealth is imagined as something controlled by outside forces. The millionaire mind turns inward. It says, "If my results are unsatisfying, it is my responsibility to change them." This single shift, from blame to ownership, is the difference between standing still and stepping forward. Eker tells us, "Rich people believe, I create my life. Poor people believe, life happens to me." That one belief is a dividing line as sharp as night and day. Think of someone who treats every financial setback as proof that the universe is against them. They retreat, complain, or quit. Now picture someone who faces the same setback and asks, "What lesson is here? How do I adjust? What can I build out of this?" The same storm hits both boats, but one captain steers, while the other drifts. This mindset shift also changes how we view wealth itself. The poor mind often equates money with survival: food, rent, security. Once those needs are met, it hesitates, fearful of wanting more, suspicious of ambition. The millionaire mind does not apologize for desire. It recognizes that money is not just survival, but potential. Potential to create, to contribute, to expand freedom. It does not say, "I can't." It asks, "How can I?" But beware. This is not about positive thinking plastered over doubt. It is about deeply rewiring the patterns that govern your default reactions. For instance, when faced with a new opportunity, the poor mind instinctively thinks, "It's risky. I might fail." The millionaire mind thinks, "Yes, risk exists, and so does reward. How do I prepare, learn, and step in wisely?" The focus shifts from fear of loss to hunger for growth. Eker insists that we are all born with the capacity for this shift. The challenge is that most people never examine their internal dialogue. They live trapped in inherited scarcity scripts, unaware that another voice exists inside them. The work begins with noticing. The next time you catch yourself saying, "I can't afford it," pause. Replace it with, "How can I afford it?" That single question turns a dead end into a doorway. Think of Thomas Edison, who failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. A poor mind would have said, "Clearly, this doesn't work. Stop." A millionaire mind said, "Each attempt teaches me how not to fail. I'm closer now." That is the lens of possibility. It is not blind optimism. It is disciplined persistence fueled by belief in one's own agency. And yet, this mindset is not only about seizing opportunities. It is about how you see yourself. The poor mind whispers, "I'm not worthy." The millionaire mind declares, "I am capable, and wealth is my natural state." Without this inner permission, no outer success can last. For wealth is not just numbers in an account, it is an identity you step into. Pause again. Ask yourself, when you hear the word rich, what emotions arise? Envy? Suspicion? Admiration? Fear? Each response reveals where your mind leans. If the word rich feels tainted, your blueprint may still be set to scarcity. If it feels expansive, hopeful, empowering, then you are leaning toward the millionaire mind. The invitation of this book is simple but radical. Stop waiting for circumstances to change before you feel empowered. Shift your mindset first and watch how circumstances begin to follow. The mind leads, the money follows. There's a quiet difference between those who dream of riches and those who actually build them. One group sits at the window watching storms of doubt roll in, whispering, "Wouldn't it be nice if—" The other plants their feet firmly on the ground and declares, "I am committed. Whatever it takes, I will." This is the gap between wishful thinking and unwavering commitment, and it is where the millionaire mind is forged. Eker is blunt about this. Most people would like to be rich, but very few are truly committed to it. Like is soft. It folds at the first obstacle, compromises at the first distraction, hides behind excuses when things get hard. Commitment, on the other hand, is a full-body vow. It does not retreat when the path grows steep. It says, "Rich is the only outcome I will accept, and I will shape myself until I get there." Think of someone who joins a gym in January. They go 3 times, feel the soreness, and quietly stop showing up. That's liking the idea of fitness. Now picture the athlete who trains at dawn, rain or shine, through injury and fatigue. That's commitment. Wealth follows the same principle. You cannot dabble in abundance. You must decide it is yours and then act as though it is non-negotiable. This doesn't mean sacrificing values or abandoning joy. True commitment is not grim. It is fueled by clarity. When you decide, "I am building wealth," you stop scattering energy. Choices align. Time, effort, relationships, and even leisure all orbit around that central star. Without this decision, your life becomes a field of half-starts and abandoned projects, each one draining energy without yielding fruit. Eker gives us a sharp truth. If you are not fully committed to being rich, chances are you will never be. Why? Because the path is not smooth. The road will test you. There will be setbacks, fears, and failures. Only commitment keeps you moving through them. Without it, every hurdle looks like a dead end. With it, every hurdle looks like a test to be passed. Ask yourself, what does wealth mean to me? Is it just comfort, or is it freedom? Is it just numbers, or is it impact? The stronger your why, the stronger your commitment. Someone who says, "I'd like some extra money," will not endure much struggle. But someone who says, "I am committed to creating financial freedom so my family thrives, so I can give, so I can live fully," has an engine that does not stall easily. Commitment also requires saying no. The poor mind flirts with distractions, quick wins, easy schemes, half-hearted ventures. The millionaire mind cuts them off. It focuses. Think of a sculptor chiseling away at a block of marble. Wealth is not in grabbing every tool, but in patiently shaping one vision. Commitment is the sculptor's steady hand, ignoring the noise, listening only to the form that wants to emerge. And here is the paradox. When you fully commit, opportunities often begin to appear. Why? Because you are now aligned. Your mind stops searching for exits and starts searching for solutions. You notice connections, people, and possibilities that were invisible before. Commitment sharpens your vision. What once looked like chance now looks like choice. So pause here. Look honestly at your financial goals. Have you been dabbling? Saying you want wealth but treating it like a side project? Or are you prepared to declare, "I commit to creating abundance. I commit to doing what it takes. I commit to becoming the person wealth requires me to be"? That declaration is the line in the sand. For once you step over it, there is no return to half-hearted wishing. The path becomes clear, even if it is hard. And in that clarity lies the first true power of the millionaire mind. Think back to the last time something went wrong in your financial life. Maybe a deal collapsed, a job ended suddenly, or an unexpected expense swallowed your savings. What was your first reaction? Did you blame the market, your boss, the timing, maybe even your family? Or did you pause, breathe, and ask, what part of this is mine to own? Here lies one of Harv Eker's sharpest distinctions. Poor minds blame, complain, and justify. Millionaire minds take responsibility. Responsibility is not about fault. It is about power. The moment you stop pointing outward and start looking inward, you reclaim the steering wheel of your life. Blame feels comfortable. It protects pride. If the economy is at fault, you don't have to change. If your upbringing is the reason, you don't have to grow. But that comfort is poison. As long as someone else is responsible, you remain powerless. Complaining works the same way. Each complaint cements a belief that you are a victim, trapped in forces beyond your control. The more you complain, the more your brain scans for things to complain about. And as Eker warns, what you focus on expands. Complain about scarcity, and you will see more of it. Now contrast that with responsibility. A millionaire mind looks at the same failed deal and says, what can I learn? Where did I miss a detail? What will I do differently next time? Instead of shrinking, it expands. Responsibility turns setbacks into feedback. Instead of blaming the rain for being wet, it asks, where's my umbrella? Eker shares a striking principle. You can be right, or you can be rich. When you cling to blame or excuses, you might feel right, justified, defended, but you give away the chance to grow. Responsibility strips away the shield of justification. It demands humility but offers power in return. This shift also changes relationships. Poor minds often feel resentment toward the successful. They had connections, they had luck, they cheated. Millionaire minds study success. What strategies did they use? What mindset carried them? How can I apply the same? The difference is subtle but life-changing. One builds bitterness, the other builds wealth. Taking responsibility does not mean controlling everything. Life will always bring storms you cannot predict. Sudden illness, global crises, natural shifts in the market. Responsibility means that when storms arrive, you focus on the only lever you truly hold, your response. Victims freeze, owners adapt, and in adaptation lies resilience. Imagine two sailors on the same sea. A storm rolls in. One curses the sky, blaming fate, waiting for rescue. The other adjusts the sails, studies the currents, finds a way through. Both feel fear, but one gives power away, while the other wields it. Wealth follows the second sailor because responsibility fuels action. Pause for a moment. Ask yourself, where in my financial life am I still blaming, still complaining, still justifying? Maybe it's the job you say pays too little, the partner you claim holds you back, the government you say stacks the odds against you. Each time you give away blame, you hand over power. Each time you reclaim responsibility, you take it back. This is the millionaire mind's silent vow. If it is to be, it is up to me. Not as a slogan, but as a daily practice. You cannot rewrite the past. You cannot control the economy, but you can control your thoughts, your actions, your discipline, your resilience. That control is enough to change everything. So the next time you hear yourself complain, stop. Catch the words mid-air. Replace them with ownership. Say, I created this and I can create something different. In that sentence lies freedom. Because once you accept responsibility, you step fully into the driver's seat of your financial destiny. Picture a child sitting at a board game. Some children play cautiously, clutching every token, terrified of losing. Others lean forward with fire in their eyes, aiming for victory. Both play the same game, but only one plays to win. This, Eker says, is the essence of how we approach money. The poor mind plays not to lose. The millionaire mind plays to win. At first, this may sound like a small difference. After all, aren't both trying to succeed? But the inner energy is completely different. Playing not to lose is defensive. It is about survival, staying safe, avoiding mistakes. Playing to win is offensive. It is about growth, creation, expansion. The direction of attention changes everything. Think about it in your own life. Have you ever turned down an opportunity because the first thought was, what if it doesn't work? That is playing not to lose. It looks at the worst-case scenario and stops there. But when you think, how can I make this work? That is playing to win. The fear doesn't vanish, but the focus shifts toward solutions, not avoidance. Eker explains that poor people's number one goal with money is comfort and security. They want just enough to be safe. Rich people's goal is freedom and abundance. They want wealth, not for the sake of hoarding, but for the power to live fully and give deeply. When your aim is merely comfort, you never stretch far enough to build extraordinary wealth. But when your aim is to win, to thrive, to expand, you engage life with different energy. This mindset even affects risk. Playing not to lose avoids risk entirely, which ironically creates stagnation. Playing to win understands that risk is unavoidable but manageable. It asks, what is the smart way to engage? How do I prepare, research, and then act boldly? Winners don't leap blindly, but they do leap. Defenders stay glued to the ground, wondering why nothing changes. Imagine two investors offered the same opportunity. The one playing not to lose says, I might lose money, better not. The one playing to win studies, consults, weighs the odds, and says, this could grow into something. I'll step in, carefully but decisively. Over time, the second investor multiplies wealth while the first stays stuck in scarcity. The truth is, both approaches carry discomfort. Staying safe breeds regret. Playing to win breeds challenge. But challenge is the soil where growth thrives. Regret is a barren field. Millionaire minds accept the discomfort of challenge because they know it carries rewards. And here is the deeper truth. Playing to win is not just about money. It is about identity. It is about seeing yourself not as a victim of the game but as a player who can master it. The rules of life are the same for all, but the mindset you bring determines how far you go. Pause and reflect. In your current financial life, are you playing not to lose, just keeping bills paid, avoiding risk, clinging to security, or are you playing to win, actively designing, expanding, creating freedom? Be honest. This is not about shame. It is about clarity. If you realize you've been in defensive mode, know this. You can switch. Start by raising your target. Instead of saying, I just want to cover my expenses, declare, I aim to build wealth. Instead of saying, I can't risk losing, ask, what do I need to learn so I can win? These are not small shifts. They are the dividing lines between mediocrity and mastery. Life itself is a game. Money is one of its fields. If you play only to avoid losing, the best you can hope for is to stay in the same place. But if you play to win, the board expands, the stakes rise, and your capacity grows with it. That is the energy of the millionaire mind. The millionaire mind. The millionaire mind. The millionaire mind. Imagine trying to pour water into a tiny teacup. No matter how much you pour, it spills over the edges. Now picture a large, sturdy bowl. The same water fits easily, held without waste. This is the image Eker uses to explain your capacity for wealth. Money flows into the container you've built, and that container is your self-worth. If deep inside you believe you are only worthy of just enough, your container stays small. Opportunities may arrive, but you sabotage them or let them slip away. If you believe you are worthy of abundance, your container expands, and you can hold more. It isn't just about skill. It's about identity. Wealth rises to the level of your self-image. This is why sudden inheritances or lottery wins so often disappear. The person's financial container has not expanded to match the new inflow. They drain their wealth with reckless spending, poor decisions, or unconscious guilt. The money was real, but the mindset wasn't ready. In contrast, think of entrepreneurs who lose everything and rebuild. Their container is already large, so new wealth naturally refills it. Eker insists, your income can only grow to the extent you do. Growth is not just technical knowledge or market savvy. It is internal expansion. It is learning to believe, deeply, I deserve wealth. I can handle wealth. I can grow with wealth. Without that belief, money feels overwhelming or undeserved, and it finds ways to escape your grasp. So, how do you expand your container? It begins with self-awareness. Notice how you react to wealth around you. When you see someone driving a luxury car, do you admire, resent, or dismiss them? When you imagine yourself wealthy, do you feel excited or guilty? These emotions are clues to the size of your current container. If guilt or resentment appears, your capacity may be too small. The next step is reconditioning. Eker suggests daily practices of affirmation and action. Declare aloud, I am capable of handling more wealth. I expand my container every day. Then back it with behaviors that prove the declaration. Saving with discipline, investing with wisdom, giving with generosity. Each act stretches your capacity. Like a muscle, the container grows with use. Expanding your container also means surrounding yourself with larger examples. If you only associate with those who struggle, your standard stays low. But if you spend time with people who manage wealth responsibly, you begin to normalize a higher level of capacity. Their habits, language, and mindset subtly teach you how to hold more. But perhaps the most important step is healing self-worth. Many people secretly believe they don't deserve to be rich. Maybe they were told they weren't smart enough, or that wanting wealth is selfish, or that their family isn't that kind of people. These wounds shrink the container. Healing means choosing new beliefs, that wealth does not corrupt, that desiring abundance is natural, that you are as worthy as anyone else. Ask yourself, if 10 times your current income arrived tomorrow, could you handle it with wisdom and stability? Or would fear, guilt, or recklessness spill it away? Your honest answer reveals the size of your container. The goal is not to judge yourself, but to begin expanding now before the flood arrives. For in the end, wealth is not only about what flows in, it is about what you can hold, nurture, and grow. Expand your container, and money will find space to stay. Keep it small, and even abundance will slip through your fingers. The millionaire mind does not just attract money, it becomes large enough to contain it. Stand in a field and gaze at the horizon. Some eyes will lock on the storm clouds gathering in the distance. Others will notice the sun breaking through, the seeds ready to sprout. This difference in focus is not trivial. It is the fork in the road that divides scarcity from abundance. Eker reminds us, what you focus on expands. Poor minds focus on obstacles, problems, and fear. Millionaire minds focus on opportunities, growth, and solutions. The external world may be identical, but perception changes the story. Imagine 2 entrepreneurs launching a new venture. Both face competition, rising costs, and uncertain demand. The poor-focused entrepreneur obsesses over the obstacles. Too many rivals. The market is unstable. What if I fail? Paralyzed, they delay decisions until the chance slips away. The wealthy-focused entrepreneur acknowledges the risks but asks, where is the opportunity? How can I stand out? What resources can I leverage? They move forward. The risk is real, but so is the possibility of reward. Focus also shapes emotional energy. When you stare at the problems, fear expands. Fear then contracts your creativity, tightening options until you feel trapped. But when you direct focus toward opportunities, courage expands. Creativity sparks. You begin to see possibilities that once hid in plain sight. The situation may not change, but your vision of it transforms. And so does your response. Eker tells us that poor people often focus on what they don't want. I don't want debt. I don't want stress. I don't want risk. Yet the subconscious cannot process negatives well. Focus on debt, and your mind keeps circling it. Focus on stress, and your body lives in tension. Meanwhile, the millionaire mind focuses on what it does want: freedom, wealth, impact, growth. By aiming attention at the positive target, it directs energy toward solutions, not complaints. This principle appears everywhere. Investors who panic at every market dip focus on loss and often lock in failure by selling too soon. Investors who focus on long-term opportunity weather the dips and capture the gains. Employees who focus on how unfair their job is stay stuck. Those who focus on the skills they can learn and the value they can create rise to new positions. But focus is not about ignoring reality. Millionaire minds don't deny problems. They see them clearly, then quickly shift to solutions. They spend 10% of their energy identifying the issue and 90% designing responses. Poor minds reverse the ratio, drowning in the problem and leaving little energy for answers. Ask yourself, what dominates your mental screen each day? Are you rehearsing fears, listing obstacles, replaying failures? Or are you scanning for opportunities, building ideas, rehearsing success? Your focus determines your filter, and your filter determines the reality you live in. To cultivate a wealthy focus, Eker suggests practical steps. Each morning, write down 3 opportunities available to you that day. Train your brain to hunt for openings. When faced with setbacks, discipline yourself to ask, what is the lesson? What is the hidden gift? How can this lead me forward? Over time, this rewires your automatic reactions. Think of it like driving a car. If your eyes lock on the ditch, your hands unconsciously steer you into it. But if you keep your eyes on the road ahead, you steer toward safety. Focus is the steering wheel of the financial journey. Where you look is where you go. So pause now. In the field of your life, are you staring at the storm, or are you noticing the sun? Both exist. The question is not what is real, but what you choose to magnify. For what you magnify grows. And in that growth lies either scarcity or abundance. Think about the people you spend the most time with. Their conversations, their habits, their values, all of these seep into you, often without notice. Eker argues that wealth is contagious, and so is poverty. Your financial thermostat is influenced not only by your inner blueprint but also by the company you keep. Modeling is the first lever. As children, we modeled our parents, often unconsciously. Now, as adults, we have the power to choose our models. If you want to learn how to build wealth, study those who have built it. Watch how they think, how they decide, how they handle setbacks. It is not imitation for the sake of copying. It is learning the mental patterns of success. Just as an athlete studies champions to master form and mindset, a future millionaire studies those who live financial freedom. Association is the second lever. Spend time with complainers, and soon you'll complain. Surround yourself with risk avoiders, and you'll hesitate too. But place yourself among builders, dreamers, and doers, and you'll feel pulled upward. Human beings are wired for belonging. The standards of the group become the standards of the individual. A millionaire mind chooses groups that normalize abundance, not scarcity. Eker emphasizes this with a powerful truth. If you want to fly with eagles, stop scratching with turkeys. Harsh, but clear. If your circle belittles ambition, mocks wealth, or wallows in victimhood, it will be nearly impossible to expand your container. Their voices will echo in your mind louder than your own. But if your circle encourages growth, celebrates wins, and sees wealth as natural, you will begin to mirror those attitudes. This doesn't mean abandoning people you love. It means being intentional about influence. You can love family without adopting their limiting beliefs. You can cherish old friends while limiting time spent in toxic conversations. You can seek mentors, communities, and masterminds that elevate your financial mindset. Influence is choice. Think of a young man raised in a neighborhood where money was always scarce. Most people there worked long hours for little pay, and ambition was treated with suspicion. Yet he found a mentor, a successful entrepreneur who believed in him. By spending time in that office, hearing those conversations, watching deals unfold, his entire worldview shifted. He began to see wealth not as a fantasy but as a natural outcome of focused effort. Over time, he built his own business and, eventually, wealth that his childhood environment never imagined. One mentor changed the trajectory of his life. The same choice lies before you. Who are you modeling? Who are you associating with? Do their habits pull you forward or hold you back? Be ruthless with this question, because your environment is stronger than your willpower. You may try to climb, but if your circle pulls down, your progress will stall. Choose instead to rise in environments where rising is the norm. Practical action can be as simple as this. Read biographies of the wealthy. Listen to podcasts where abundance is discussed openly. Join groups or networks where success is shared, not shamed. Spend less time with voices that sneer at prosperity, more time with those who normalize it. Slowly, your mind absorbs these new standards. What once felt impossible begins to feel natural. Remember, wealth is not built in isolation. It is built in communities, in conversations, in modeled behaviors that shape our daily choices. To rewire your blueprint fully, you must curate not only your inner dialogue but also your outer influences. The Millionaire Mind does not leave this to chance. It chooses deliberately to stand among those who lift it higher. Money is often misunderstood as the end goal, the treasure at the end of the map. But Eker reframes it with a piercing truth. Money is not the destination. It is the vehicle. It is not the master. It is the tool. And, like any tool, it amplifies the hand that wields it. Think of a hammer. In one person's grip, it builds a home. In another's, it gathers dust. The hammer itself is neutral. The difference lies in the user. Money works the same way. If you are generous, wealth makes you more generous. If you are fearful, wealth magnifies that fear. If you are disciplined, money multiplies the impact of that discipline. If you are careless, it multiplies recklessness. Money doesn't change who you are. It reveals and extends who you are. The poor mind often demonizes money, saying, "If I had too much, it would corrupt me." The millionaire mind sees it differently. Money will allow me to become more of who I already am. If you are committed to growth, wealth becomes the amplifier of growth. If you are committed to contribution, wealth becomes the amplifier of giving. This truth is liberating because it shifts the fear around money. You don't have to worry that money will transform you into someone unrecognizable. Instead, you must focus on becoming the kind of person who deserves amplification. Build character, and wealth will magnify character. Build discipline, and wealth will magnify discipline. Eker also stresses that money buys freedom. Freedom of choice, freedom of time, freedom of focus. Without it, you are tethered to survival, trading hours for necessities. With it, you buy back the most precious asset of all, time. And with time comes the ability to pursue what matters most: family, creativity, service, purpose. But freedom does not mean escape from responsibility. True freedom comes when money is aligned with values. A millionaire mind does not hoard wealth for its own sake. It uses money as a channel to live more authentically. For some, that means creating art without fear of poverty. For others, it means building schools, supporting causes, or funding innovations that uplift communities. Ask yourself, what would more money make possible for you? Beyond bills and comfort, what dreams lie dormant because resources are lacking? Perhaps it's travel, education, or philanthropy. Perhaps it's the ability to work fewer hours and spend more time with loved ones. Whatever it is, remember this: Money is not the dream itself. It is the bridge to the dream. And here's the paradox. When you see money as a tool for growth, not the prize itself, you often attract more of it. Why? Because your relationship with money becomes healthier. You no longer chase it with desperation or push it away with guilt. You hold it with clarity, respect, and purpose. And money, like energy, flows where it is welcomed. So pause now. Redefine wealth in your own words. Instead of asking, "How much do I want?" ask, "What kind of life do I want to create, and how much money is required to build it?" This reframes money from idol to servant. And when money becomes servant, you remain master. The millionaire mind does not fear money, resent money, or idolize money. It wields money. It grows because of money. It contributes because of money. And in the end, it finds that money is not the treasure chest at the journey's end, but the sturdy vessel that carries you toward the life you were meant to live. Picture yourself holding a blueprint in your hands. Until now, it may have been drawn by someone else, parents, culture, past experiences, old fears. The lines have guided your every step, with or without your awareness. But here, in the final turn of Eker's teaching, you are invited to become the architect, to roll out a new plan, to design your own financial future with intention. Designing a new money blueprint begins with declarations. Words have power. The phrases you repeat become the seeds of your beliefs, and beliefs shape results. If your past script said, "I'll never be rich," your new declaration must boldly counter it, "I am fully capable of creating wealth. I deserve abundance." It may feel uncomfortable at first, but repetition rewires. Just as water wears grooves into stone, words carve new pathways in the mind. Yet words alone are not enough. Declarations must be anchored in action. If you declare abundance but keep living small, your subconscious calls your bluff. But when your actions line up, saving, investing, learning, building, the declaration gains credibility. It becomes not just something you say, but something you embody. Eker suggests starting with small practices. Track your finances with care, as if money were a trusted partner. Practice generosity, even in small amounts, to prove that you trust the flow of wealth. Invest in your own growth, courses, mentors, skills, to expand your capacity. Each action is a brushstroke on the new blueprint. Over time, the picture changes. And remember, the old blueprint doesn't vanish overnight. Its echoes may still whisper. Doubt may still rise. But the millionaire mind does not expect perfection. It expects persistence. Each time the old voice says, "You can't," the new blueprint answers, "Watch me." Each time fear says, "It's too risky," the new plan asks, "What preparation will make it possible?" Slowly, the new design takes hold. There is also the matter of identity. To truly lock in the millionaire mind, you must not only do the actions of wealth but become the person of wealth. That means cultivating responsibility, courage, generosity, and resilience. Wealth is not only about what you have, it is about who you are. When your inner world aligns with abundance, the outer world eventually mirrors it. Pause here and imagine your life 5 years from now with your new blueprint fully in place. See yourself confident, decisive, generous. See the opportunities you've seized, the obstacles you've turned into lessons. See the freedom you've created, not just for yourself, but for those around you. Let that image guide the steps you take today. The book closes on this reminder. You were not born to struggle endlessly with money. You were born with the potential for abundance, just as every seed holds the possibility of a towering tree. Your blueprint determines how far that seed grows. And now, with awareness and choice, you hold the pen that redraws the plan. So, declare it, live it, become it. The millionaire mind is not a myth or a gift reserved for a few. It is a pattern, a discipline, a decision. And it begins the moment you choose to rewrite your blueprint, once and for all, once and for all, once and for all.